When I first auditioned here at the Met, I thought they'll give me a small part or something like that, you know, on one of the, or a small understudy. The understudy gave me is like baptism of fire understudy. For a start, it's Placido Domingo. That's the first most important thing. Secondly, it's the part of Siegmund in, you know, one of the most, you know, famous or sought after or important held in tenor roles in the repertoire. There are not many Siegmunds around. It's just a fact, you know, there's not many in the world, and if my voice keeps on developing, I might become one, and I'd love that. It would be great to be a Wagnerian held in tenor, but I'm just quite happy to be a tenor at the moment. You know, with the opera, it's sort of like playing rugby a bit. There are many different positions that you get put on the stage in, and some people sing high and light, or high and heavy. I sing pretty much mid-range, heavy repertoire, which Domingo does now.
He does not come and rehearse for the whole period, and since he's running 2 other opera companies, conducting and singing in both Washington and Los Angeles, he really only appeared for about 1 stage rehearsal and then for the dress rehearsal. And that meant that Simon did all the other rehearsals. So the first thing an understudy does is step into rehearsals when the person who's actually supposed to be singing it on stage is not there. Simon then, which is rather unusual, sang a couple of orchestra rehearsals with Maestro Gergiev and did some stage rehearsals and that sort of thing. That normally doesn't happen, except it does with someone like Placido Domingo.
Every day I sleep with the score underneath my pillow. I mean, I live this part. If I went on, I think I've done, I hope I've done enough, you know, preparation. So, you know, if I did go on, I at least feel prepared. I would still be absolutely terrified, though. God. Bloody stuff. It's great stuff. It's big stuff because you have to sing with 100 people in the audience, in the orchestra alone, playing full tit. And then you've got a big hall like this, 4,000 seats, and to sing over the orchestra and hit the last seat in the house. This is what these Met audiences demand. So I've been studying now for 10 years, 12 years to learn that technique. Have no microphones. This is my microphone here, you know. Just late last week, I sang on stage with the Metropolitan Opera and Valery Gergiev conducting in Siegmund's costume, which like reads Mr. Domingo on the tab, and then below it reads Mr. O'Neill, and I'm still a bit starry-eyed about it, tell the truth. It's just my normal warm-up. I usually do it in the old, in the cab, and wherever I'm going somewhere, either in the cab or in the subway, with some scales and warming up the old voice.
An understudy is expected to be totally ready to go on stage if anything happens to the person who's actually singing the role. This means that we have to know exactly where that person is. They have to be within 20 minutes of the Metropolitan Opera. They have to be totally available by telephone.
Well, this is my little pad, where I'm a little place in New York. And it's 95th and Broadway, and consists of one tiny room with a little kitchenette and a tiny little bathroom, which is rather dodgy. My wife and I just bought a place in central London, so this is where we rough it. New York City is a pretty wild town, and I'm starting to see that now, you know, as sort of a young man in the career. There are a lot of women in this career particularly as well that that sort of chase you a bit, you know, for a whole lot of reasons. Loneliness sometimes. Sometimes they just think you're funny or you're a nice guy and stuff like that, or sometimes they want to sort of, you know, sort of chase the leading man type thing. I even noticed that, you know, when Domingo wasn't even there in the house, and I was taking his place. But, you know, the bloody opera world it's a pressure cooker. You know, you go to these places, usually away from your family, then everyone's together there for 2 months, whatever. And a pressure cooker. See them all day, usually go out to dinner all night. And often, heaps of my friends, romances happen. I mean, there are people in the Metropolitan Opera today who are famous to bits, that get a lot of action. You know, there's not in the Metropolitan Opera, although there are some rumours. In this career, it's very hard to sort of stick together. And Carmel and I, my wife and I desperately want to stay with her, and I want to make it happen as well as I can. And it's not normal, you know, seeing your partner for 3 or 4 months a year. It's just not normal. You know what? I'm not a very normal person either. Carmel and I are going with all guns blazing. I love her for that she gives me all the support in the world. And I show to my parents as well. They just want me to go as fast and as you know, as furious as I can for the top. I mean, in this town, in America, you have to do that, or else you just don't go anywhere. You know, it's pretty normal for people to put their hands up and say, "Yeah, look at me." When in New Zealand, sometimes if you do that, you know, get called up yourself or whatever, or, you know, arrogant, or I've had all those names called and stuff. And I don't mean to be that. It's just that I'm, you know, prepare myself the way that I'm confident in what I do. We're now at the New Zealand Consulate on East 41st Street. And as you see, we're pretty high up, and I'm scared of heights. And the United Nations is just down there. But anyway, right beside me is my business manager, Angus Vale, who has been looking after, you know, all my sort of small business as it is for 6 years now.
And Simon's always very keen to introduce me as he's my business manager, but he's also the business manager for KISS. And it's interesting seeing the reaction of, I think half the people go, "Wow, that's really interesting," and then the other half of the sort of opera world go, "Oh," and don't necessarily.
And then you headbutt them.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? Great.
Well, I always figured that opera and KISS, I mean, they're just sort of, you know, pretty close on the continuum of entertainment, really, aren't they? I mean, you wander around in sort of silly costumes, silly leather costumes. It's all big stages, big bombastic stuff, yeah. Right? I mean, I think the only thing you don't have is pyrotechnics.
So we do have pyrotechnics.
You do?
Yes, fire music.
There you go.
Wicked stuff.
Yeah, big boots.
But not as big
thing.
as like KISS. It's Madison Square Gardens when they blow the place up. It's a great little network. All of us New Zealanders stick together, I reckon.
Yeah.
And I love it when we all meet up and we'll go out and we'll speak Kiwi and we'll talk about, you know, the NBC rugby or whatever, the haka, you know.
He's not a prima donna. He's not neurotic.
What do you mean? I'm out of here.
Yeah, right. There you go.
Che giova al buio non si trova. Aspetti, signorina, le dirò con 2 parole. Chi son?